Hi everyone, this is Mindy Eggen and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be creating this card for you using the new Thoughtful and Thankful card kit from GinaKDesigns. Here is a look at the card kit. I'm going to walk through it a little more in detail later on in this video, but first I want to give you a quick walkthrough of the entire release. If you want to skip this part and go right to the card making portion of the video, I will put a timestamp up in the corner so you can skip ahead to that. Now, first up in the release is this brand new Butterfly Garden stencil. I love this. I cannot wait to create with this stencil. Next, we have the maple cover plate. So this is a beautiful maple leaf that's going to fit on the front of an A2 size card front. So I'm excited to play with that as well. Then there is a brand new Master Layouts 17. This has kind of that window frame shape in there, which I'm excited to play with as well. All of the dimensions for these size in the Master Layouts will be listed on the GinaKDesigns website, so be sure to check that out. If you have any book lovers out there, we have Make a Bookmark. So this stamp set is filled with sentiments for making a bookmark or just making a greeting card for someone that loves to read. The coordinating die set that you can purchase in the bundle or together in the bundle has these bookmark shaped tags. So that's really fun. I'm excited to see this in the collection. The next stamp set that we have has some beautiful silhouettes in here. So this is Pretty Perches, and there's some silhouettes of birds, and we have these different things that they can be perched on. There is also a coordinating die. So now the dies you can only get in a bundle. They are not sold separately. Only the stamp sets are sold separately. But I do highly recommend the bundles because they are just absolutely worth it. And having a coordinating die just gives you more possibilities. This one is Welcome Autumn. I love that bare tree and also the pickup truck. Super big fan of that pickup truck. And I have some ideas with that tree, so I really hope to get to my ideas this month. Also in this release is the Lovely Days stamp set. Also has a coordinating die, so you can pick this up in a bundle. I think these fun patterns are in here are really neat. Of course, there's the vase you can add a pattern to as well. I think that vase is really cute too. And also the sentiments. I ran out of magnet sheets when I was organizing, so I don't have these on my magnet sheets yet, but there are coordinating dies for this as well. Then the next bundle that I'm going to show you is called Daily Grind. So if you have someone that loves coffee, cappuccinos, tea, anything like that, this set is for them. What is there? There's also maybe frappuccinos. I don't know. I drink coffee and my daughter drinks all kinds of crazy stuff. So I want to make a card for her using one of these. I think she'd get a kick out of that. We also have a new stamp set called Autumn Bears. I love these bears. I did color some up last month. I didn't get onto a card yet, but I love these little guys with the cute little pumpkins in their hand. So adorable, and I really love this line. Okay, so now we are going to jump in depth into the Thoughtful and Thankful card kit from GinaKDesigns. You're getting 2 large stamp sets, 2 stencils, and the coordinating dies. Gina's kits are always so jam-packed and absolutely worth the value. First, we have the Sunflower Garden stencil. So this one, I believe, is a 4-piece stencil. It does layer up. So the first layer has kind of the open areas of the sunflower. The second layer of the stencil has the details to kind of add some contrast to the sunflowers. The third layer is going to be adding some fun elements to the inside of your sunflower and also around it. And then the fourth layer is adding some leaves and these fun little dots in between the sunflowers. This is the Thoughtful Flowers stencil. I should have showed you the stamp set first because this actually coordinates with the Thoughtful Flowers stamp set that you're going to see in just a minute. But you can see these are just images, or these are stencils that are going to color in, here we go, the Thoughtful Flowers stamp set. So those stencils, which I will be using today in the video, color in the floral images not only on that larger piece, but also all of the individual pieces. There's also the coordinating dies for the flowers, that large bunch of flowers, and then the sentiments as well. Then we have the Ornate Birds, a beautiful collection. So kind of that silhouette type of image, but with some really neat detail in the birds. This one has thankful or thanks. We have heart for you for all you do so much. And again, coordinating dies for the images. So if you don't want to do silhouette stamping, you could die cut them out as well as the sentiments. And then the last thing I wanted to show you is the blooming flower stamp. So this is actually the incentive for this month. You get this for free when you hit the qualifying purchase. So it automatically gets added to your cart. But if you do have the qualifying purchase, you want to be sure to head over and add the coordinating die into your cart. Coordinating dies, like I said, give you so many more possibilities. So I'm jumping into my card project and I'm starting with a piece of layering weight white cardstock from GinaKDesigns. I placed this in my Misti tool. I have a sticky mat in the bottom of my Misti. That's why you don't see the foam insert. And I'm going to be using this larger floral image or this swag from the Thoughtful Flowers stamp set. I'm inking this up with Sandy Beach ink, and you may have seen in my previous videos, I do this a lot when I ink blend. I stamp in a light ink first. Now, it may be hard to see on camera, but it's really easy for me to see the ink transferred nicely. So I'm going to flip my cardstock and stamp that again on the other side. My original plan was to have two of these on one card front. But you're going to also see I changed my mind a lot in this video, but I am sharing ideas with you. So I hope with me changing my mind all the time that it does open up ideas for you. I'm going to be stenciling both of these at the same time, so I just trimmed my cardstock in half, and then I put a little bit of repositionable tape on the back of each of these to secure these down to my work surface. Now I am working on a white glass mat. It's kind of a smaller glass mat just so I can see my ink when I'm tapping off. Now I'm bringing in the Thoughtful Flowers stencil, and each of these flowers has a stencil for you to add color. So if you don't color a lot with maybe alcohol markers or anything like that, this is a really quick and easy way to do it. But I like to step it up by either adding two different colors or by adding shading. So once I lined up the first flower, I am holding it down with Post-it tape, and I started off by ink blending around the outer edges with lemon drop ink, and I'm using the detail blending brushes to do this. Now my second color here is going to be light carnation, so I start from the other end and blend up towards the yellow to have that slight overlap, and then I'm going to bring in medium carnation and just add some of that darker color down towards the bottom. I will use these same colors throughout all of the flowers on both of my pieces of cardstock. So once I have that done, I am just going to shift it over. I sped it up a lot because I'm doing the exact same thing, but all I did was shift it over so I could do the other flower, and it's going to be the exact same colors in the exact same way that I did it on my first one. Now, the stencil that is just below that, or the flower that is just below that, is what I'm going to use to do this next flower. So again, I'm just lining it up, the stencil to my image, tape that down with Post-it tape or any low tack tape, and I'm going to do that again. So I started out by ink blending the edges with lemon drop ink, then came in with the light carnation and adding a little bit of that darker color towards the bottom with the medium carnation. Now, again, once I'm done with this, I'll just remove that tape. I'm going to shift this over and do the exact same thing on that exact same flower. The detail blending brushes are really handy for this because I don't have to worry about masking off any areas of my stencil, and they just kind of fit really well with these smaller images. I have another flower here that's right in the center. This one I decided to change it up just a little bit. I'm actually going to start in the center of the flower with that lemon drop ink. So it's going to have more of a glowing effect towards the inside. And then I'm going to go around the outer edges. Now I think I may have just jumped right over to the medium carnation for this because there isn't a lot of room on this one. It's kind of a smaller flower. And I just made sure to go a little lighter handed as I got towards the center. So I just went ahead and did my other one right away off screen. I kind of skipped that for you. And I'm moving on to the next flower. This one is up at the top here. That one I did do lemon drop on the outer edge and the medium carnation towards the bottom. Now this flower is the exact same flower as the one at the end. So they're both exactly the same. So your stencil is going to fit over that. So you're using this flower or this stencil twice on your card or on this image. Now we're coming into the leaves. So there are 3 leaves on the stencil. And what I'm looking at here is there is kind of a swoop on each side of the leaves. So that's how I can tell which one it's going to fit, is there's just a little bit more of a swoop on the left-hand side, and then the other stencil has more of a swoop on the right-hand side. And all you need to do is line that up over your leaf and just kind of figure out which one fits better. So I started out with the trio of leaves. I'm using Applemint ink, coming in pretty heavy-handed and then getting lighter as I get towards the edge of the leaves. This one, again, genius thought process on this. They used the same image multiple times throughout this arrangement so I can use the same stencil. So I just shifted that or turned it, added my ink blending. So I thought this was just a genius way to do a stencil. You don't have a ton of different layers or different shaped leaves. Now here is where I am starting to come in for those other leaves. Like I said, I just kind of figured out which one had more of a swoop is what I'm calling it. And I'm doing this one now with Lucky Clover. So I'm trying to change up the color a little bit between the two different kinds of leaves. And I thought I would bring in some yellow for the edges because sometimes you can see hints of yellow in leaves. So I came in with Wild Dandelion on the very tips, and then I brought in my Lucky Clover, and I just kind of glazed over the top of the Wild Dandelion so you still see that hint of yellow on the edges. So again, just moving my stencil around to line up my leaves and fill that in with the color. And then I'm going to move this over and do the other arrangement right away, but I'm just saving a little time and skip that part. You're going to see how it jumps to the completed image by magic of a video. Now I'm just going to pull these up from my glass mat, and I'm going to clean this up with some rubbing alcohol and rub off that repositionable tape that was on the back. It comes off very easy with my finger. Now I'm going to stamp back over the top of this again, but I'm going to use black Onyx ink. And if you remember, I trimmed my cardstock in half, so I just made sure to use that straight flat edge, the one side I didn't cut, and place that down in the bottom of my corner of my Misti tool so it's lining up perfectly with the stamp set that I had left in place. I'm stamping over that with the black ink to give it that nice bold outline and also stamping the centers. Then I can just carefully peel this up from that sticky mat, and I'm going to bring in my other one. Once again, just making it sure I have turned in the right direction so that straight flat edge is down in that bottom corner, and stamping that with that black Onyx ink. You don't have to do yours this way. You could have stamped it in black ink right away. This is just something I just kind of have a habit of doing, and it works really well for me. So since I had my Misti out on my black ink, I'm just going to go ahead and stamp out the sentiment that I want to use. So I have this beautiful scripty sentiment, the thinking of you, and then I picked out a smaller one that says my friend. So I'm going to stamp that a couple times in the black ink, make sure that that ink transfers really well. I'm lining up the coordinating dies for the image and the sentiments, and I have a lot of people ask me in my one video why I'm still taping my dies down when I'm using the new magnetic platform from GinaKDesigns for her intricate machine. And really, that's because it's habit. It's just something I always have done, and I probably just always will. But also, I have a very small space, and I tend to bump things a lot or drop things. So by taping it down, it just kind of helps secure that in place for me. Now here is where I just may be giving you some ideas. So one of the ideas I had was using this kind of window frame die from the Master Layouts 17. This is brand new. And I die cut that from Kraft Cardstock. So I had a bunch of ideas with this floral arrangement. One of the ideas was using that kind of window frame and stacking up these two arrangements that I did around the window frame. I still really like that idea, and I may still even do this at one point. I was just being very indecisive at this point and had a hard time just nailing down an idea that I wanted to do. But here was one of my ideas just on white cardstock. Then I thought I'd bring in some dusty rose because I thought that matched my flowers really well. So I do still really like this layout. Now, while I was contemplating this idea, I'm going to go ahead and layer up my die cuts. So when I was die cutting my sentiments, I like to die cut them out of plain white cardstock right away as well, and then layer that together with my liquid glue just to give it a little bit more stability and a little bit of lift to it. I'm still going to add foam squares, but that's another habit that I tend to get into. Okay, here comes the madness. So I super sped this up. I wanted to leave it in here so you could still see it, get some ideas, the different change of colors that I did between the window and the cardstock. I was just playing with the ideas. One of the things I was struggling with was that I did really like having both of my flower arrangements in there, but then again, I felt like it was almost too much. So in the end, I'm just going to use one, but you can see how those look. Maybe if I would have did some individual pieces to fill in a couple of the holes, I probably would have felt better about that, but I didn't do that yet. So I'm going to do that a different day. Do you ever find if you're cleaning or organizing, you stumble upon something you completely forgot you had? Well, that is what happened here. I was organizing my stencils and I completely forgot that I have this masks and filler stencil from GinaKDesigns. There is one for an oval and one up there you can see for a circle. So I had die cut out my panel to give it a stitched edge, and it's going to be about 3 3/4 by 5 inches. I'll explain my crazy hands there in a second. So that gave me a smaller white panel with a stitched edge. Now, the crazy hands that you just saw was because I didn't mask off around the oval and I didn't want to transfer any ink into those other areas of the stencil. So that's where the crazy hands came from. But I started out with light carnation down in that bottom left-hand corner and then came up top with a little bit, I think, of either lemon drop or wild dandelion in the top right-hand corner. So I kind of have that warm gradient effect, which matches my flowers. So again, this is me trying to figure out my arrangement. There was just one little gap that was kind of bugging me in the flowers. And in a way, I kind of wish I would have just left it like this, but I didn't. I took one of the flower sets out and decided to just nail the design down, go for it, and I can always come back and do another design another day. So I have my Dusty Rose cardstock cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I am layering up my panel here with some foam tape. I'm going to add that right to that Dusty Rose cardstock. Then I'm going to take one of those arrangements and I'm going to add some liquid glue to that. I didn't pop it up because I already have my main panel popped up, and I did add a layer of cardstock behind this. So it does have a little bit of dimension to it. So I'm adding my Connect glue to the back and I'm placing this over on the left-hand side to kind of go around the frame. I'm really looking at those top and bottom rows or flower that's kind of pointed out. So I'm trying to match that up with my oval. Then I added some foam squares behind my sentiment. I'm going to add that off on the side, so it's going to be kind of hanging off of that oval. And then the same thing with the smaller sentiment, my friend. I added some thin foam squares behind that, and I'm adding that below. This was another thing I struggled on. I didn't know if I should put my friend right underneath the of you or off on the side. So I just was really indecisive when trying to work on this card today. I don't know what my problem was. Now I am finishing it off with some clear quartz sequins that I added around the sentiment using my pick and stick tool and the Connect glue. So in the process of making this one card, I hope you still got many ideas as I was walking through my own process of putting this together. I will have all of the supplies listed down below in the video description and over on my blog. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I'll see you again soon.